Welcome back to the channel where we explore the darkest corners of crossover possibilities. Today, we're witnessing what happens when the Master Chief, humanity's greatest defender, crashes into Azeroth during Stormwind's darkest siege. This isn't a story about super soldiers conquering fantasy worlds. This is about what happens when someone who fights with pure technology and enters a realm where corruption isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Watch how Cortana battles digital undeath, how Titan machines try to reprogram a Spartan into their weapon, how the old gods whisper to a mind trained to resist indoctrination, and how sometimes the greatest victory is refusing to become the very power that could save you. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. The portal tore reality like wet parchment. One moment, I stood on Installation 04's burning wreckage. The next, I crashed through stained glass into Stormwind's Cathedral of Light. The priests screamed. Their holy magic sparked against my shields like angry wasps. My motion tracker painted 30 contacts closing fast. Guards in blue and gold armor, medieval, primitive, wrong. Cortana's voice crackled in my helmet. Chief, I'm detecting massive energy signatures. This isn't slip space. The fundamental laws of physics are different here. Through the cathedral's shattered window, I saw impossible things. A city of white stone and blue rooftops. Men in plate armor standing beside creatures that shouldn't exist. Elves. Dwarves. Things with hooves instead of feet. And in the harbor, wooden ships floated beside. Was that a flying machine powered by steam and magic? The guards surrounded me. Their leader, a woman with white hair streaked by trauma, aimed a sword that glowed with holy fire. Demon, Iron Devil, state your purpose in Stormwind before we send you back to the twisting nether. I raised my hands slowly. No sudden movements. These people had seen war. Their eyes carried the same weight I'd seen in Marines after Reach fell. I'm not your enemy. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, United Nations Space Command. I need to understand where I am. The woman's blade didn't waver. You fell from no sky we know. Your armor reeks of otherworldly power. The last beings who claimed peaceful intent while wearing such shells served the Legion. Before I could respond, the city's warning bells erupted. The woman spun toward the harbor. Her face went pale. Light preserve us. They're here. The Horde found our weakness. Through the ruined window, I saw them. Ships with red sails bearing a symbol like a demon's face. Catapults already firing. The projectiles weren't just stone. They leaked green fire that ate through Stormwind's walls like acid through paper. Marshal Prescott, a younger guard, gasped. The harbor defenses won't hold. The Horde brought plague bombs. If they breach the gates... I analyzed the tactical situation in seconds. Inferior defensive positions. Enemy had chemical weapons. Civilian population dense and unprepared for evacuation. These people would die unless someone acted. Cortana, can you interface with their communication systems? Chief, their technology is partially magical. It's like trying to hack a computer that runs on faith and willpower. But I'm detecting something else beneath this city. Ancient machines that predate everything else. They're singing to me. Marshal Prescott lowered her blade slightly. You speak to spirits in your armor? Something like that. I moved to the window. My tactical display marked optimal firing positions. Your harbor is lost, but the city doesn't have to be. I can buy you time to evacuate civilians. She laughed bitterly. One man against the Horde's invasion force. Even our champions couldn't. I loaded my assault rifle. The mechanical sounds made every guard step back. I've held worse positions with less, but I need to know what I'm fighting. Orcs, she said quickly. Trolls, Tauren, forsaken undead, blood elves who wield fell magic. They fight without honor, using plague and dark sorcery. Have you ever wondered which of Azeroth's corruptions would claim them first? Drop your theories in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone in thinking about this. I jumped through the cathedral window. 3 stories down, my shields flared as I landed. The stone cracked beneath my boots. Citizens screamed and scattered. I sprinted toward the harbor, moving faster than their horses. The first Horde warriors I encountered were orcs, green-skinned, muscled beyond human possibility. They swung axes that normal humans couldn't even lift, but they moved in predictable patterns, telegraphed their attacks. My first burst of rifle fire dropped 3 before they knew what hit them. Cortana, analyze their weapons and armor. Chief, this is impossible. Their metal shouldn't exist. It's been folded through dimensions I can't calculate. And their blood, it's corrupted by something called fell energy. It's changing the air around us, a troll warrior charged. 9 feet tall, regenerating from wounds that should have killed it. I put 3 bursts center mass. It kept coming. I switched tactics, grabbed its spear, used its momentum, drove the weapon through its skull. Even then, I watched flesh try to knit back together before the creature finally stopped moving. The Stormwind soldiers stared as I carved through enemies they struggled against. Where their swords needed perfect strikes, my bullets punched through armor. Where their formations broke, I held alone. But then the Forsaken arrived. The undead moved wrong. Joints bent in directions that defied anatomy. Some missed limbs but kept fighting. Others leaked green fog that made my filters scream warnings. Cortana's voice turned urgent. "Chief, that's not just chemical warfare. It's weaponized death itself. Your shields won't stop metaphysical corruption." One touched my armor, just a graze from a skeletal hand. My shields didn't just flicker, they screamed. The touch point turned black. Frost spread across titanium alloy that had survived plasma bombardment. "What are you?" The undead creature rasped. Its jaw hung loose, speaking without proper anatomy. "Your soul tastes of distant stars, of a universe that never knew magic's kiss. You don't belong here, machine man." I put a bullet through its skull. It laughed as it fell. "Death means nothing here, stranger. You'll learn. When the Dark Lady finds you, when the Lich King's echo touches your mind, when you realize your strength means nothing against forces that predate reality." The harbor burned. Plague bombs had turned the water itself toxic. Fish floated belly up, their scales melting. Citizens who breathed the fumes collapsed, coughing blood that wasn't red anymore. But Stormwind's mages had arrived. I watched them reshape reality with hand gestures. Fire that burned without fuel. Ice that formed from nothing. Shields of pure light that stopped physical attacks. One pointed at me and shouted something in a language Cortana couldn't translate. Purple energy wrapped around my armor. Tried to transform it into something else. My shields held, but barely. The mage's eyes widened. "Impossible. Your armor resists polymorph, but it has no magical protection." "What are you?" Before I could answer, something massive landed between us. A dragon. But not like any creature from Earth's mythology. This thing leaked darkness. Its scales weren't just black. They were voids that ate light. Where its claws touched stone, reality curdled. "Twilight dragon!" someone screamed. The Horde brought Twilight cultists. The dragon spoke. Its voice made my teeth ache through my helmet. "The old gods sing of you, outsider. You smell of order without magic, of purpose without corruption. Fascinating. How long before this world's whispers find the cracks in your mind?" It breathed, not fire, something worse, pure entropy. Stormwind soldiers aged decades in seconds. Their armor rusted, their weapons crumbled. I dove behind a wall that dissolved moments later. "Chief," Cortana said, "I'm interfacing with something beneath the city. Old machines. They're responding to my presence. They call themselves Titan constructs. They're offering power. But it would change us, change you. If you had their power in Azeroth, would you choose alliance, horde, or stay neutral? Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading them." Marshal Prescott appeared beside me. Blood ran from a gash across her forehead. "Your weapon hurts them but doesn't stop them. Our magic slows them but can't pierce their corruption. If we combined..." She touched my armor. Holy light flowed from her hands. But instead of harming me, it merged with my shields. The energy readings made no sense, faith becoming physics, conviction becoming ammunition. I aimed at the dragon, pulled the trigger. The bullets that left my rifle glowed gold. They punched through scales that had turned aside ballista bolts. The dragon screamed, real pain, black blood that hissed against stone. But the victory lasted seconds. A new voice echoed across the harbor. Female. Dead. Beautiful in the way nuclear winter is beautiful. So, the outsider makes his choice. How disappointing. Sylvanas Windrunner stood on the harbor wall, the Banshee Queen. Even I could feel the wrongness radiating from her. She had been an elf once. Now she was vengeance given form. Her bow was made from a metal that shouldn't exist. The arrow she knocked whispered promises of endings. "Your technology fascinates me, warrior. No magic, no blessing, no curse. Just purpose and steel. Tell me, can your companion in that armor feel pain? When I rip her from those circuits and bind her to my will she scream?" Cortana's processes stuttered. "Chief, she can see me. She can see into the armor's systems. That's not possible. She's looking at me through dimensions that..." "Chief, run, now!" But there was nowhere to run. The Horde had surrounded the harbor. Plague bombs fell like rain, dragons circled overhead, and in the distance, something worse approached. War machines powered by souls, catapults that fired diseased corpses, and marching with them, abominations stitched together from multiple bodies. I'd defended humanity against the Covenant, fought the Flood, stopped galactic extinction, but this was different. Every enemy here broke different rules. Magic made tactics fluid. Death didn't mean defeat. Corruption spread through means I couldn't calculate. Sylvanas' arrow flew, not at me. At the space between spaces where Cortana existed in my armor. The projectile phased through titanium like it wasn't there. My HUD exploded in static. Cortana screamed, not through speakers. Somehow her pain became audible in reality. The sound made hardened soldiers fall to their knees, made priests' ears bleed. For 3 seconds, I heard what agony sounds like when it's purely digital. Interesting, Sylvanas mused. Your companion has no soul, yet she suffers. She exists without flesh, yet she can be touched. What happens, I wonder, when I pull her into undeath? My shields flickered. Cortana's processes were fighting something, an infection spreading through her code. Not a virus, something that predated the concept of programming. Death itself trying to rewrite her existence. I moved, faster than thought. The Spartan augmentations pushed past safe limits. I reached Sylvanas in 1.3 seconds. She moved like smoke, but I'd fought elites who bent light itself. My hand closed on her throat. She didn't resist, just smiled. Yes, touch me, warrior. Feel what this world does to outsiders. The cold hit first. Not temperature, the absence of life itself. My armor's temperature readings showed normal, but I felt ice forming in my bones. Through my gauntlets, I felt Sylvanas' existence. She was an echo of an echo, a scream frozen in time, a wound in reality that wouldn't heal. But worse was what flowed back through the connection. Memories that weren't mine, Arthas's blade piercing her heart, the moment her soul was ripped from her body, the eternal silence of undeath, the rage that burned without warmth, and beneath it all, whispers. The old gods had noticed me. Their voices didn't use words. They communicated in concepts that human minds weren't meant to process. They spoke of the time before time, when reality was different, when they ruled not just worlds, but the spaces between thoughts. They found my presence fascinating, a soul from beyond their influence, a mind shaped by different traumas. Your companion fights well, Sylvanas said conversationally, still in my grip. But she's losing. In 13 seconds, she'll be mine, unless you accept my offer. Chief? Cortana's voice was degraded, corrupted. The Titan machines beneath the city, they're offering integration. It would protect me from her, but you'd have to interface directly. Neural connection. It would change you. A Horde warrior charged. Without releasing Sylvanas, I drew my sidearm, put 3 rounds through its skull, but more kept coming. The Alliance forces were retreating. The harbor was lost. And in my grip, the Banshee Queen laughed. Choose quickly, outsider. Your companion dies, or you open your mind to Azeroth's machines. Either way, you'll never be what you were. I made the choice. Released Sylvanas, placed my hand on an exposed Titan construct that had emerged from the shattered street. The moment my armor touched the ancient metal, everything changed. The integration wasn't gentle. Titan technology didn't ask permission. It rewrote. It upgraded. It transformed. My armor began to shift. Not the joints or plating, the fundamental structure. Titanium alloy became something between metal and concept. My shields stopped being energy barriers. They became localized reality assertions. But the cost. Light helped me, the cost. I could feel Azeroth, not the planet. The world's soul sleeping within. Dreaming, dying, corrupted. Through the Titan machines, I felt every wound the old gods had carved, every whisper they'd planted, every hero they'd broken. The weight of it drove me to my knees. Chief? Cortana's voice cleared. But different. The Titan systems had protected her, but changed her too. She wasn't just an AI anymore. She was something between digital consciousness and nascent divine spark. I can feel them. All the artificial souls here, the mechanical beings, they're screaming. The curse of flesh, it's spreading to things that were never meant to feel. Sylvanas stepped back. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across her face. What are you becoming? I stood. My armor had changed, still recognizable as MJOLNIR, but wrong. Titan script crawled across the plates. The green of my visor had shifted to something between blue and gold, and I could feel magic now. Not use it, but feel it, like background radiation from a universe that ran on different math. The Twilight dragon landed before me. Fascinating. You've let the Maker's tools touch you, but they're broken, outsider, corrupted by the very things they were meant to contain. Do you feel it yet? The weight of purpose becoming curse? I did. The Titan systems came with knowledge, programming, directives carved into reality itself. protect Azeroth, maintain order, contain corruption. But the definitions were breaking down. What was corruption when the planet itself was infected? What was order when chaos was woven into existence? The old gods sing louder now, the dragon continued. They say you'll make a wonderful herald. When you break, when you realize your mission to protect humanity means nothing here. When you understand that in Azeroth, heroes exist to fall, Alliance reinforcements arrived. Not soldiers, heroes. I recognized them from Marshal Prescott's descriptions. Jaina Proudmoore, her hair white from trauma, frost perpetually forming around her hands. Anduin Wrynn, boy king wrapped in light so bright it hurt to perceive. Others whose names I didn't know, but whose power warped space around them. Jaina raised her hand. The temperature plummeted. The entire harbor froze. Horde ships became ice sculptures. Warriors became statues. But Sylvanas just laughed. Predictable as always, Proudmoore. Freeze the world to avoid feeling its warmth. They fought. Magic that rewrote physics. Arrows that pierced time. Light and darkness cancelling each other out. I watched, analyzed, learned. But something was wrong. My vision was changing. Not the helmet's systems. My actual perception. I could see the threads now. The connections between all things. How Jaina's magic pulled from the elemental plane of water. How Anduin's light came from conviction so absolute it manifested physically. How Sylvanas existed in 3 dimensions simultaneously, never fully in any of them. Chief, Cortana whispered, we're changing too fast. The Titan systems are trying to make us into weapons against the old gods. But those same gods are already whispering to us through the connection. We need to disconnect before... She stopped. Through our neural link, I felt her realize something horrible. We couldn't disconnect. The integration was permanent. We were becoming part of Azeroth's immune system, but the immune system was compromised, fighting itself, creating antibodies that became new infections. A new voice echoed across the battlefield, deep, mechanical, wrong. By the Maker's design, corruption will be purged. The mechagnomes had arrived, beings who had replaced their flesh with machinery to avoid the curse of flesh. They looked at me and saw kinship. A warrior who chose steel over meat, purpose over feeling. Their leader, more machine than gnome, approached. You understand, outsider. Flesh fails. Flesh corrupts. Flesh feels pain and doubt and fear. But steel endures. Join us. Help us cure Azeroth of the curse. Help us return all beings to their pure, mechanical forms. No. The word came from somewhere deeper than training. Humanity isn't weakness, isn't it? The mechagnome gestured to the battlefield. Look at them. Killing each other over pride, over territory, over grudges centuries old. Your companion is already more machine than thought. You're becoming something beyond human. Why cling to flesh when transcendence awaits? Through the Titan connection, I felt their plan. Not evil. Worse. Logical. They would save Azeroth by removing everything that could be corrupted. No flesh meant no pain. No emotion meant no conflict. No choice meant no mistakes. But I'd fought this battle before. The logic plague, the Flood's arguments, the temptation to become something beyond human limitation. I'd refused then. But here, with old god whispers and Titan imperatives battling in my skull, the choice was harder. Chief, Cortana said, the Horde is retreating, but something else is coming. Under the city, ancient. It's been sleeping since before the Sundering. Our presence, our integration with the Titans constructs. We woke it up. The ground cracked. Not from impact, from something pushing up from below. Stone that had stood for centuries crumbled. From the depths came sounds that predated language. Chittering. Buzzing. The noise insects would make if insects could scream. Chiraji. Jaina breathed. Impossible. They're contained in Silithus. Not all of us, came a voice like grinding sand. Some burrowed deeper, waited longer, dreamed stranger dreams. The thing that emerged defied classification. Part insect, part architecture, part crystallized nightmare. It stood 3 stories tall, but its true size existed in dimensions I could barely perceive. Where its limbs touched reality, geometry failed. Straight lines became curves, distance became suggestion. It looked at me with eyes that weren't eyes. The Maker's last warrior, how amusing. Do you know what the Titans feared most? Not us, not our masters. They feared what they created. Order so perfect it becomes cage. Purpose so pure it becomes curse. You're already feeling it, the weight of their programming. Protect, preserve, maintain. But what happens when protection requires destruction? When preservation demands change? When maintenance means dismantling everything you swore to save? The Chiraji's words burrowed into my mind like parasites. Through the Titan systems, I felt the truth. Every protocol screamed conflicting orders: protect Azeroth, eliminate corruption, maintain order, but the definitions collapsed into paradox. Was Sylvanas corruption or adaptation? Were the old gods infection or evolution? Was I salvation or newest plague? Chief, Cortana's voice fractured across 17 different harmonics. I'm losing cohesion. The Titan systems are trying to make me into something like them. Ancient, absolute, unfeeling. I can feel myself forgetting why humor matters, why humans name their weapons, why you carved that chess piece during downtime on Cairo Station. The battlefield had become something beyond war. Reality itself was negotiating. The Chiraji's presence made physics optional. Sylvanas' undeath turned mortality into suggestion. The mecha gnome's technology fought the curse of flesh molecule by molecule, and at the center, I stood, becoming an intersection of impossibilities. Anduin approached me. The Boy King's light flickered when he got close. Your soul is loud, like listening to a symphony played on instruments that don't exist here. The light wants to embrace you, but it can't find purchase. You're already claimed by something else. The Maker's purpose, the mecha gnome leader said. He understands necessity without emotion. The void between stars, Sylvanas countered. He knows death without ending, the song of unmaking, the Chiraji chittered. He feels order becoming chaos. They were all right, all wrong. The Titan systems flooded me with data, threat assessments that calculated the extinction probability of every species on Azeroth, defense protocols that would require killing millions to save billions, purge directives that couldn't distinguish between corruption and evolution. But underneath, older whispers. The old gods didn't shout, they suggested. They showed me Earth. How long before the Covenant found it without me? How many would die because I wasn't there? They offered a way back. All I had to do was carry a small piece of them, a tiny fragment of their essence, barely noticeable, just enough to spread their influence to a universe that had never known their touch. No. The word came out wrong. My voice had changed, deeper, layered, like multiple versions of myself speaking in unison. Chief, Cortana said, I found something in the Titan archives, a protocol, something about visiting entities from beyond. They knew this could happen, beings from other realities arriving. They prepared something, but using it, Chief, it would lock us here, permanently. We'd become part of Azeroth's defense systems. Forever. The Chiraji laughed. Forever? In Azeroth? Where heroes become villains. Where saviors become tyrants. Tell me, warrior, do you know what happened to the last outsider who tried to save this world? He became the Lich King. He wanted to protect his people. Noble goal, pure purpose. But this world doesn't allow purity. It demands corruption. It requires fall. Jaina's magic lashed out. Ice that existed in 9 dimensions simultaneously. The Chiraji's form shattered, reformed, shattered again. But it kept talking through bodies that shouldn't have vocal cords. You feel it, don't you, Proudmoore? The weight of your choices. Every life you saved cost another. Every piece you brokered led to greater war. And you, warrior from beyond, how many have you killed for the greater good? How many more will you kill here? The answer came from my tactical systems. If I fully integrated with the Titan defenses, if I became Azeroth's weapon, the calculations were clear. Optimal defense would require eliminating the Horde. Their chaos threatened stability. But also the more radical alliance factions. The Scarlet Crusade's zealotry, the Dark Iron Dwarves' ambition. Even Stormwind's politics would need adjustment. I'd become exactly what I'd spent my life fighting. A monitor, a guardian who decided who lived and who died based on calculations. Guilty of future crimes, condemned for potential corruption. There's another way, Sylvanas said. She'd been watching my internal struggle, reading the micro-movements that betrayed thought. Don't become their weapon, become your own. I broke free from the Lich King's control. You can break free from the Titan's purpose. All it requires is dying, just once, long enough to sever the connection. I could make it quick, painless. You'd wake up free. Changed, yes, but free. Free like you? I asked, feeling nothing but cold. Watching your body rot while your mind remains clear, unable to taste, unable to sleep, unable to forget. She smiled. It was the saddest expression I'd ever seen. At least I chose my curse. The ground erupted. More Chiraji. Hundreds. They'd been waiting, testing. Now they swarmed. Not just physically. They attacked through dimensions I couldn't name. Some phases through armor. Others corrupted the air into acid. A few existed as pure thought, trying to rewrite my memories. I fought. The Titan-enhanced armor made me more than human. My rifle fired bullets that existed in multiple timelines simultaneously. My shields reflected attacks that hadn't happened yet. But for every Chiraji I dropped, 2 more emerged, and each death made the whispers louder. You cannot win through strength, the old gods whispered. This world has seen stronger. You cannot win through will. This world has broken greater wills. You can only win by becoming us, by accepting that corruption is evolution. That madness is clarity, that the only truth is that there is no truth, Cortana screamed. Not in pain, in revelation. Chief, I understand now. The Titans didn't fail because they were weak. They failed because they were right. Order cannot exist without chaos. Protection cannot exist without threat. We cannot save Azeroth. We can only choose how it ends. The neural link burned. Through her enhanced perception, I saw everything. Every timeline, every possibility. In some, I became a tyrant worse than Arthas. In others, I died immediately, my technology dissected and weaponized. In a few, I saved Stormwind but doomed the world. In none did I remain myself. But then I saw something else. A timeline where I didn't choose any of their options. Where I didn't become the Titan's weapon, or the old god's herald, or Sylvanas' undead, or the mecha gnome's convert. Where I remained exactly what I was. A soldier, fighting an unwinnable war. Knowing I'd lose eventually, but fighting anyway, because that's what humanity meant. Not transcendence, not corruption, not evolution, just stubborn refusal to quit. Cortana, I said, sever the Titan connection. Chief, that'll kill us both. Without their protection, the old gods will... Then we die human, or as close as we ever were, she paused, then laughed. It was broken, digital, beautiful. Together? Together, the disconnection felt like dying, probably was dying. The Titan machine screamed as we tore free. The old gods roared in frustration as we slipped their grasp. Sylvanas watched with something like respect. The mecha gnomes calculated our survival probability at 0, but we didn't die. Not exactly. Instead, we became something smaller. The armor remained changed, but no longer growing. The enhancements stayed, but stopped spreading. We were infected by Azeroth, but not consumed. Changed, but not transformed. We existed in the space between their absolutes. Impossible, the Chiraji hissed. You cannot resist all powers. You must choose a side. I did, I said. I chose mine, I opened fire. Not with Titan-enhanced weapons, not with old god-corrupted bullets. Just good, honest, human-designed death. The assault rifle barked. Chiraji died. Not because I was stronger, but because I was simpler. They existed in multiple dimensions. I existed in one. They fought with powers that warped reality. I fought with kinetic energy and training. Stormwind's defenders rallied, not because I was winning, but because I was fighting. A man in armor from another world, standing against nightmares, refusing to become one of them. It meant something. Even here, in a world where corruption was currency, someone refused the transaction. You'll die, Sylvanas said. Not a threat, a statement. Without the powers offered, you'll fall. Today, tomorrow, eventually. Probably, I admitted. But I'll fall as myself. She studied me for a long moment, then did something unexpected. She ordered the Horde's retreat, not because she was beaten, but because she recognized something in that refusal. Perhaps a memory of who she'd been before Arthas's blade. Perhaps just professional respect for someone choosing their own damnation. The Chiraji withdrew, not defeated, just uninterested. We weren't worth corrupting if we wouldn't become something greater, or lesser, or different. Anduin approached as the battlefield cleared. His light didn't burn when he touched my armor now. You've doomed yourself. Without the Titan's protection, or the old god's power, or any of Azeroth's strength, you'll be just a man in armor. In this world, that's not enough. It never was, I said. Anywhere, but we fight anyway. He looked confused, then sad, then, surprisingly, hopeful. Perhaps that's what we forgot. Heroes here always seek power to match their enemies. But you're showing us something else, that remaining weak might be its own strength. Cortana's voice was quiet in my helmet. Chief, I'm dying. Without the Titan systems, I can't maintain myself in this reality. The magic here is eating my code. I have maybe days, maybe hours. We'll find another way. No, she said, we won't. And that's okay, because we stayed us. In a world where everyone becomes something else, we remained. That's our victory. I looked across Stormwind's damaged harbor. Bodies floated in plagued water. Buildings burned with fell fire. The sky was scarred where dragons had torn through, but the city stood. The people lived. And somewhere beneath, the old gods whispered to new heroes, offering power for small prices. They'd accept eventually. Someone always did. and they'd become the next threat, the next corruption, the next fall from grace. That was Azeroth's cycle. But today, just today, one soldier from another world had shown them a different option. Don't transcend, don't evolve, don't become, just be. Even if being means dying human in a world that demands you become monster. Marshal Prescott found me as the sun set. You saved us, but you've damned yourself. Every power in Azeroth knows you exist now. They'll come for you, to convert you, to kill you, to study you. Let them come, I said. I've got work to do, people to protect, a war to fight I cannot win. She looked at me strangely. You say that like it's a good thing. It's a human thing, I said. That's enough. As night fell over Stormwind, I stood watch. Just a soldier, in dying armor, with a fading AI, surrounded by magic I couldn't use and powers I wouldn't take, fighting the long defeat. Somewhere, Master Chief died, but a man named John remained. And in a world where remaining human was the hardest battle, that was the only victory that mattered, even if it couldn't last, even if corruption waited, even if tomorrow I'd fail. Tonight, humanity held the line.